Supergirl just came out, and in the domestic opening weekend, it did between $40 and $50 million. For reference, that is worse than movies like Black Adam, The Flash, and potentially even The Marvels, some of the biggest superhero movie bombs ever. And today I want to talk about why that is, because I think the DCU might be failing before even really gaining its legs. But first, we have to quick talk about how the DCU came into existence. The DCU started after the shutdown of the DCEU, the awful Zack Snyder universe. Now I know there's a lot of fans of this universe, but I think we can all agree by now that this was not a good representation of the DC characters that we love. But after the shutdown of this universe, DC was lost. They were in this weird phase where The Rock was trying to force his own movies, his own universe to be made.
Now what you're gonna see here is why the hierarchy of power in the DC universe is about to change. The hierarchy of power in the DC universe is about to change.
But DC quickly realized that that was not going to work. They were looking for someone new to lead their universe, and they landed on James Gunn, which seems like an obvious decision. He was coming off making the first two Guardians movies that are beloved by every comic book and movie fan, and at the time it seemed like a perfect choice. It finally felt like Marvel was falling behind DC, and DC was going to catch up and be the better superhero movie studio. But here's where I think James Gunn and DC messed up and made a decision that I think will be the downfall of the DCU. And it's a mistake that Zack Snyder and DC made before. A mistake that James Gunn made is jumping into his new universe, assuming that people already care about the universe and the characters in it. And sure, diehard fans like me, and probably you if you're watching this video, we care for all the small characters like Booster Gold, Hawkgirl, Guy Gardner, but the average person doesn't know those names. They don't care, they don't have a reason to care. You need to win over the general public, and right now, Supergirl is not doing that. And here's why. It's because of the decisions James Gunn made early in his franchise. James Gunn is very good at getting you to care for characters no one has ever heard of. The Guardians movies are perfect examples. The problem is when James Gunn did it, Marvel already established a huge audience and fan base of die-hard fans and won over the general public. That's something you can't buy. That's something that's won over time. DC asked him to make a new universe from scratch and gave him complete control. And he did what he was good at. He started to make passion project stories about characters no one has heard of. And what makes James Gunn so great is also ruining the DCU before it really even started. First, he starts off his universe with Peacemaker, carrying over a story and characters from the old DCEU. In my opinion, a bad choice. And I liked Peacemaker Season 2, but that's something to me that you have to just leave in the past. It's very confusing for audiences to see a character go from a past universe into a new one, retconning past things that happen in the show. But either way, Peacemaker Season 2 was fine, but you still started the DCU with a show. And then you go over to Creature Commandos. I have not seen it. I've heard good things, but still probably shouldn't be one of your first two projects in your new universe. They made two shows before a movie ever came out, a poor decision in my opinion, and one that set the stage for a failing DCU. Then the first movie of the DCU came out, Superman, the first good decision James Gunn made in this universe. Superman was a good movie. Superman is kinda set up to be the flagship character of the DCU, and with him being the flagship character, you expect big things, but even Superman's box office wasn't very good. It was passable, serviceable, but they were hoping for much more, and I think Superman disappointed DC with the box office numbers despite it being a good movie, and the general audience seemed to dig it as well. Then the next project coming out is Supergirl. Now we talked about this, it is not looking good for Supergirl. It is almost guaranteed to be a massive flop at this point. And in all fairness, the last project we got was Superman. Then for the second movie in your universe, you do Supergirl. Now, I'm not opposed to a Supergirl movie. Supergirl is a movie you can make, it just can't be your second movie in your universe. Then after Supergirl, later this year in October, we are getting an R-rated Clayface movie that seems like a better fit in the Matt Reeves Batman universe. And not to mention, having a R-rated Clayface movie be your third movie in your franchise, making an R-rated superhero movie in your franchise is a risky decision in general. Making it your third theatrical released movie in your universe is a very questionable decision, and we will see if that risky decision pans out for James Gunn and his DCU. But I think a big problem for the future of this universe is the confusion to the average movie watcher. And at first, I didn't think the two separate universes slash Batmans was that big of a deal, because to me it made sense. I thought it would to other people as well. But my opinion quickly changed when I talked to an average moviegoer, the type of person that truly decides if a movie will make money or not. And the confusion they had when I told them about there being two separate Batmans was extremely shocking to me. It shouldn't be that shocking, but I thought with all the multiverse movies and all the different content coming out nowadays, the general public would kind of be caught up and be used to this type of thing. But they were not. The confusion was similar to when you're doing high-level math and nothing makes any sense. The teacher tries to tell you that 0 plus 8 equals 47, and you're sitting there like, this makes no fucking sense, and you just want to give up. That's how that person reacted when I told them that. It just didn't make sense to the average person why there was two Batman. And I think this is a massive problem that might be the downfall of the DCU. That problem alone is enough to be very worried about the future of this universe. But unfortunately, that's not the only massive problem. I already kind of talked about the randomness of the projects, but it is as big of a problem, if not bigger, than the multiple Batman slash universes. But the randomness seems to just keep going for the planned future projects of this universe as well. We just had a Jimmy Olsen Gorilla Grodd show announced, which is an insane show to make when your Supergirl movie and Superman movie aren't even performing well in theaters. We're not going to get the saving grace of this universe, which could be a Batman movie. That's not coming out until at least 2028. And they decide to make a Green Lantern True Detective style show coming out later this year instead of an epic space movie. Something that looks similar to a Project Hail Mary would be my dream movie. But no, they decide to make a dark, gritty, realistic True Detective style show. A decision I'm very disappointed in. It's like they're playing Jenga and seeing how many important characters they can remove from the tower and put them on the top of the tower to save for later without having the tower fall, if that makes sense. And sure, those characters might come later, but by the time they do, the base of the tower is going to be so shaky that it's just going to fall over and crash. Hopefully not, but that is my prediction for this universe. Overall, I think James Gunn has made horrific decisions with this universe. I think he should have started simpler. Superman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Flash, movies. I think that's how it should have started, and I think once you start with all these shows, you're starting to put this universe in a spot where it's not meant for the theaters. Once audiences are kind of getting a vibe that your franchise is a show franchise, they just get used to sitting on the couch and watching your franchise and not needing to go up and see it in theaters. I think we're seeing that exact same thing with Star Wars and The Mandalorian and Grogu. But please let me know what you think is going to happen to the DCU. Are you hopeful that it will turn around and it will pick up steam, or do you agree with me?